How's it going, everybody? We're here, we're back, and we're going to be talking about one of the most important pillars. It's one of the first pillars today. I know yesterday, myself and Oscar, we spoke about the four pillars, right, Oscar? He's bringing it on the screen. Yep, we got the screen right here. So as you guys can see, this is the house. This is the house that you're building. This is your clinic. This is your practice, and your practice in your clinic. We were talking about yesterday needs the four strong pillars. And the four strong pillars, just to kind of review, was reach, was resell, referral, and reputation, right? So if you didn't really get a chance to listen to episode two, definitely go back to listen to episode two on the Automated Clinic podcast. And today we're going to be covering R1, which is reach. So tell us a little bit more about reach, Oscar. A lot of people give postcards, by the way. So that was one thing that you can even put a yellow star next to postcards. I don't. I live in San Diego. I know Oscar, you live out there in Miami, and I've lived in New York. I've lived in Boston. I've lived pretty much everywhere, and without fail, every single dentist, every single wellness center that I've ever kind of come across, or put my name down on something what they you could find routes out there for postcards. I know it's really popular. Mailers are really popular, but I've gotten 3 to 4 postcards in my mailbox on the same day, same postcard, right? So the question is that how accurate, where is your money going? I want everybody to think about this as Oscar talks about this, and I'm going to kind of get into a little bit more detail about certain aspects of this. But when you are sending out a postcard, when you have a TV ad, when you have some kind of radio ad, when you maybe take a little section out in the newspaper, you are spending X dollars, and the question is, can you measure which penny was actually sent to the right person and which penny was sent to the wrong person, right? So you got your green dollar signs and you got your red dollar signs, right? That basically means that you have money that's being spent with the right person. I might have a toothache and I needed that postcard. But for the most part, I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but you cannot measure your money. And that's really important when you're trying to run a clinic. We were talking about metrics yesterday in our past podcast. We're going to dive into, but knowing your metrics, if you put a dollar in and you're getting $5 out, if you knowing your lifetime value of your customer, all these numbers, if you know all the detail, you're going to get to see a really awesome picture of your clinic, right? And that's really what we're trying to get here, get you guys to, and that's what we get our clients to, as when we implement a lot of these systems and so forth. We want you to think about those systems as well too. So yeah, move on, Oscar. Yeah. Cold calling is it has nothing. But actually it's not true. It does cost time, right? It's somebody's time, right? So you might hire someone in your office to do cold calling, and that's great, and maybe they're like, oh, I'm doctor, I'm hitting the phones every single day. I'm hitting the phone. Are you making 100 calls, Susan? Yeah, I'm doctor, I'm making 100 calls, but I only see 20 calls on the call thing if you actually track her calls. And out of those calls that she's actually making in between whatever else they're doing, how are they emulating the practice on the phone call? Are they an extension of you, or do you even know how? Okay, are you tracking that call, right? It would be better if you had incoming calls versus outgoing calls, right? So we can get into those specifics, but nevertheless, cold calling does exist, still works, and I'm going to get into why. Personally, I would not prefer that, and what we could do more in the space that we live in today, especially in 2019. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, cold calling not no go for me. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Awesome. So let me take it over. And then we need Scribble Board. Let's see. All right. So So the first thing is, when I like to explain this situation, I like to explain it. So honestly, I've been in a lot of times I've tried to explain things to my parents, right? So we all want to make sure that we understand what it is that we're talking about when we talk about reach. It's not just a concept, but it's an actual thing that's happening today out there. So let me kind of take it back to, most of you guys out there might want to be dominating your local city. So let's just keep it simple, and I'm just gonna put, here's my little drawing. This is California. Okay, this is where I live in California, right? And to be honest with you, I live right here in San Diego, right? So I'm right here in good old sunny San Diego. Okay, and I'm a patient, right? So I'm gonna put myself in this example here, and and I live in this area, and you're the doctor, right? Let's use red. You're maybe over here as a doctor. This is your office, right? This is your practice, and let's kind of make this a little bit thinner, and you're running your business, right? As most people's situation is that you're running your business day to day. You probably have, an office manager that's going to be handling a lot of your stuff, right? And then you may have maybe one other staff to help out, and then you obviously have your medical staff and stuff, right? So you have maybe two nurses, and maybe there's another doctor or two other doctors in your practice and stuff like that. And that's really kind of what you see every single day. It's what you know. And then when patients kind of walk into the door, they become part of your, patient list, and you kind of deal with them kind of the same way, and most of you maybe have a little bit more of a custom way of dealing with people, and most of you have a very cookie cutter way of dealing with patients come in. And, it's typical. We all describe how the experience is with a doctor. We have an issue. We try to find the doctor through maybe our insurance because we want to just make sure that the doctor covers our insurance. It's really important for a patient. And then they just walk into this clinic. They have to wait. They got to fill out some paperwork on a clipboard. Then your office manager has to do something. Then you get seen, and then after that, it's like, I'll see you in like 4 or 5 months, Susan, right? So that's kind of normally how that situation is. It's kind of normally how it goes for me too. So now what's the point of me drawing this? So, well, first, I just want to just, write out that in today's market, there's a couple of different major ways, that all people are not the same, right? I'm not the same as you, and we all learn and consume information differently, right? So when we're talking about reach today, what we're talking about is that you are looking to reach people within your particular radius, right? And for those of you that are national, you could just expand this example in your mind throughout the entire United States, but it's not really you want to reach every single person. You want to reach pockets of niches, right? So I really want you guys to really take this word and understand that you can really, in this market, you have to focus on niches, right? Because not everybody that really walked through this door is part of the same niche, right? And you could have reached more of the younger generation, the middle, more of the people in their 30s, more people in their 40s, more people in their 50s, if you knew how to speak to them. So what we're really talking about is in today's world, you have to really be focused on the actual avatar that you're talking to when you're going to be marketing. So, for example, back in the day, before internet, so BI is before internet, you had your newspaper, as Oscar had pointed out, you had your billboard. Obviously, some of you in your towns may use the billboard. That's probably, some clinics use that, and they'll have like a little slogan on it. And then postcards was another one, right? We talked about that real briefly. I just want to hit on postcards, just one more time, is that it's also, you have to know that people and postcards, it's information that a certain niche will digest that way because they're used to that, right? They've grown up with it since they were kids, and now they're an older generation and still getting postcards. It's congruent with the type of way that someone has marketed to them, right? There's a lot of old people out there that may not even use a cell phone, right? So when we're talking about online digital marketing, we have to understand who we're trying to reach, right? And is your clinic the right clinic for something like this, right? You have to also think about that. If you have a heart clinic where you do heart surgeries and all of your patients are super super old, like 60 plus or 70 plus, you have to obviously figure out the best way to reach that niche, right? So I want to take that into mind as we move forward here. So as we move forward, after internet, existed, we have all these awesome, really cool tools. And so let's use a different color here to identify these cool tools that we have. Obviously, we have Facebook, right? Obviously, we have Google, like Oscar mentioned. Obviously, we have, so some of you listen to podcasting, right? Podcasting is real popular. Then there's Bing, right? That's another search engine that's out there. Then you have Instagram. It's another really popular one. What else is there? There's SMS, I know we pointed out. Now there's Facebook Messenger, which is really cool nowadays. So, and then there's YouTube. I don't want to leave YouTube out there. So I'll stop there. We can go on. There's a really long list, and we can always kind of provide you a PDF later on of all the list of ways that you can reach people. But let me just draw this line right here and make this contrast, right? This is super important. So we all consume information in really 3 different ways, right? And so I'm going to write it over here. The first way is auditory, right? Some of you out there are auditory learners. The second way that you might consume information is that you are a visual learner. I know myself, I'm a very visual person, right? And then number 3 is kinesthetic, right? That you like to go, like, be somewhere and learn something. That's the way you consume information. So, if we take it back to the clinic, one of the first things your job is as a clinic in your hometown is not just to service the patients, but also to educate, right? We obviously spoke about that. Education content, that's how you're going to educate people is through content. You will have that, celebrity, you will have that omnipresence that you need. So people in your town, you are there to help people in your town, people that live, for example, if you're a doctor in San Diego, you wake up every day and your desire is to help as many people as you can. Now, obviously, insurance and all that limits you to how many people, who you can help, but that's a filter on its own, right? But at the end of the day, you wake up every day, wanting to do the best job that you can do, being a doctor, being a wellness doctor, being, running your practice, and yet that's the value it gives in the market, right? So obviously, in order for you to reach all these people, the way I like to think about reach in today's world, and I'll use a different color here to kind of emphasize this, it's kind of like a magnet, right? It's kind of like you are putting out information and value, and you don't really need a whole big staff, but you're just trying to find, in this 25-mile radius, what different types of marketing can I do to really educate and engage the consumer, the patient, because that's really where the journey starts, right? People are walking around today that have a toothache and a headache. People are walking around today that have shoulder pain because they've been working in a warehouse for the past several months. People are driving Uber around the city and they have back lumbar support pain and they've been thinking about going to a chiropractor, but they have no idea what a chiropractor is, and their friend who, at a dinner party has told them, hey man, don't go to that chiropractor, they're really bad. So there's really no other further information until that person wants to go look for it to really maybe find you if you're in some search engine or whatever they're saying. So let me just kind of make this thing where, because we learn things in three different ways, Facebook would probably be more visual, right? So for the visual people, the people that want to consume information, by pushing advertising out there through these systems, not only are we able to reach the right niche, right? And so you can measure your money because all these systems have systems to measure every single cent that you spend, but you can also reach the right person. So Facebook would be visual and auditory. Google would really be more visual, and then obviously maybe you want to take them to a landing page or another piece of content, right? So that's more visual. Podcasting, if you're a doctor, you can always get on a podcast out there, make your round because you know something in a particular area, and just reach out to podcasts. Go to iTunes, go to Google Play, reach out to people that have podcasts, or you can start your own, and it's extremely inexpensive. It's like $12 a month to just start your own podcast out there. And that's more for the auditory learners that want to learn about maybe back pain, learn about chiropractor, and then maybe come into your clinic, right? So you can reach those people that are driving those cars listening to podcasts. Here we have Bing. Again, it's visual, right? Just like Google, Instagram. A lot of it is more visual, but one can say it's auditory, but I would just say it's more of a visual thing. SMS. This is how you're going to reach the young crowd. More young people like SMS, Facebook Messenger, a lot of this stuff. And this can be auditory, video, and also just text, right? So it's really convenient. And then YouTube, it's obviously visual, right? Because you're listening to a video. Sometimes I like to listen to music, so I'll just have the YouTube video playing and then my phone in my pocket. So we can also kind of consider this audio as well too, right? So just want to just break down that there are so many different ways. And then the biggest thing that a lot of people ask me sometimes, they're like, so Sumit, how much is this going to cost me? Well, sir, back in the day, this would cost you obviously at least 10K to put your own billboard up there. I don't think really any billboard, maybe billboards now are 5K, but you're still going to be paying a pretty penny and you can't measure any of this money. Nowadays, for about $5 to $10 on some of these platforms, you can reach 10,000 targeted people. Now just imagine if just every month you dedicated, let's just say $300, right? And you put that into some basic content. Maybe you're a doctor and you are a pediatric doctor, and so you probably want to reach mothers, right? And mothers are most likely on Facebook, on a lot of these social networks, Instagram. And if you reach them with the right message, maybe you could find mothers that just had babies, that just got pregnant, that just got married. Most likely they were going to become a mother, right? So that's more of a relevant market. And for $5 to $10 a day, if you reach 10,000 people a day, over the 30 days, you reached 100,000 people And then out of that 100,000 people, let's just say normally what conversion rates are 1%. So let's just take 1% of that number. Oscar, what's 1% of that number right now? I'm having a little bit of a brain fart here. I think it is, okay, it's 1,000 people. Okay. So 1,000 people actually even read the article, take action. Maybe they're watching your video, and out of those 1,000 people, 10%, 100 people came into your, like were thinking about coming into your clinic. Maybe they fill out your patient forms online because it's convenient, and then they walk into the door. Maybe half of that. Let's just really say even 10% of that. That's 10 people, right? So out of all that, you spent about $10 a day. You spent about $300, and you can measure. You've been optimizing this campaign, and you can measure everything along this entire process. And then your goal after reaching and putting that value out there, you got 10 people that walk through the door. And for some of you guys out there, we're just going to take an even number of $1,000 of what that customer might be worth to you, right? Because you guys are doctors. I'm sure you guys are doing some services that pertain to that kind of level of quality service, right? So let's just say $1,000. That's $10,000. So you invested 300 and you made 10,000. Now this is not what happens. I mean, it can happen, but this is what is possible, right? In today's market, these companies want you to succeed. They want you to give value, and they want you to reach people. And so these companies have spent billions of dollars perfecting their algorithms, right? That's why marketing is so crazy in today's world, is because these algorithms are just amazing, right? So if you can reach the right people at the right time with the right message, right? Because you know how they feel, you know what they're going through in life with the right message, that is super powerful for not only reaching and making sure that your money reaches the right people, but it'll help your clinic have a predictable growth. And that's really what myself and Oscar, not to get in too much detail here, I just want to show you this, the power of just a couple of bucks. It comes right back down to the money, right? Everybody wants to know, does this thing cost me $10,000 a month to do? It doesn't. It just costs you the knowledge. And then obviously you have to feed the algorithm. It has to understand your business and your community. Your community needs to know you. You need to have omnipresence, and you need to do that through content marketing, right? So that's really how you're going to reach people, quality reach, right? I really would like to even rename this as quality reach. There's crappy reach where you just bombard people with ads in the wrong place, the wrong time, like these people that send me postcards. I don't even, I throw them out. I literally throw them out. I use them as coasters if I'm, drinking my coffee. So it's not really a good use of money. Here we can actually measure the money, and we could reach the right person at the right time, right? So that's really powerful. And just to wrap it up here today, that's the power of doing the right reach for your clinic, right? So Oscar, anything you want to add on that? Yeah, man. I've been whiteboarding with clients and people, and it's just like for me, I'm a visual learner, like I said, right? And for me to really explain things, I like to, as an engineer myself, I like to break things down because I've spent a lifetime trying to explain my parents what it is that I do and what's happening on the internet. So it's definitely thank you, I appreciate that. So and I hope that was helpful. And for those of you that didn't get a screenshot of that, I can pop that back up if any of you want that, because it'll be erased after today. Let me just let me minimize our screen right here. Oh, did it already get erased? My goodness. We have it on video. We have it on video, so it doesn't matter. But once again, guys, so this was all about reach and why reach is so important in your business and how you can be doing reach on a daily basis. So thank you guys so much for your time, and I hope this was helpful and you can learn a little bit about how to reach the next person, or you can at least start thinking about who you have to reach and like I said, think about your customer avatar. If you're a pediatrics doctor, well, your customer is not just children because you're not going to be reaching 4-year-old kids, you're going to probably want to reach your mothers, right? Because the mothers are taking care of the kids. So you got to really think about, what magazines do these people read? What newspapers do they read? Do they read the New York Times? Do they read Fox News? And I make that, and it's not a funny example, but you can target those different mindsets, right? If you're a Republican and you want to reach Republicans out there, you probably want to target people that like Fox News, that like Republican related things, which is, and all this data exists out there because Facebook has gotten it, they've logged it, Google knows it, they've logged it, they know every single ad that's ever been out there. It's all saved in their brain, right? So think about the possibilities. That's what I want you guys to leave with today is what is the possibility for my clinic?